Who would have thought that in November of 2025, the UK has entered into its very own dystopian nightmare? From ill and disabled claimants being threatened with claim closure if they do not explain what they are spending their own money on, down to GDPR, data protection, and human rights principles basically being ignored. What in the world is going on, and how can you break free from all of this? I'm going to be going into that in this video. If it is your first time here, hi, my name is Ali. I'm the founder of the Justice Journals and a new little brand that I've started. You will see it on my videos here called Off System IO. I need to say no more. The name says it all. But first of all, I want to give a little shout out to some of the people that have been using the resources from the Justice Journals. Here's one from the wonderful Sheila, who has managed to get full PIP. We have somebody else here, Teresa, who I have helped get access to work funding, and also Nalia as well to start her own business with access to work funding. For those of you that don't know, when I'm not doing YouTube and recording videos for you, I run a business coaching and consultancy practice where I help predominantly disabled and neurodivergent people create, start and launch their own business. I'm very proud to do it. I have people like a wonderful blind teacher. I have another wonderful lady who has cerebral palsy, and I am helping these people earn their income online, have a little bit more or a much better quality of life, and basically not have to be reliant on benefits, because we know how awful that can be. I've been doing it through a signature program that I created called the 365 plan, and because of it I've actually been nominated for an award on the UK Health Awards website. A little bit of a cheeky plug, but it is free, and if you want to help me support more people in becoming a little bit more financially dependent, if not completely financially dependent, go along to the UK Health Awards website and vote for me, Alison McRobbie. I will leave the link down below. There are also a heap loads more people, probably more worthy than me, I should imagine, on this wonderful website where you can actually hear, speak to and consume content from very good, very well-meaning people that are qualified experts and specialists in all sorts of health related and well-being niches. Anyway, let's get back to it. So, the digital ID and bank statements. I know lots of people are creating petitions against the digital ID. It's too late. Digital ID and digital verification is already here, and I'm going to prove it to you. This weekend, the government website was completely down, and whilst you may be saying, but Ali, this is just, they're doing an update. I think not, because this is just under or just about 1 month before HMRC are bringing in something that is mandatory. And as we all know, HMRC systems are completely and intrinsically linked to DWP. And that is this. If you have a company, a current company or a new one, from next month, the middle of next month, it is mandatory that there is a new identification process for those wishing to trade in the UK, and this process of verifying your identity is done through lots of different means, but if you want my opinion, it is most definitely the big step between it being all part of digital ID. Now, I had a little look into this because obviously this affects me, and I don't have a problem with being compliant for this, obviously, but I do have a problem with not being able to open a business unless I do this. So I'm going to be showing you something in a moment which is going to really shock some of you. Now, the act that's being relied upon here is the Economic Crime and Corporate Transparency Act, which received royal assent on the 26th of October 2023. Transparency Act. Now, I know lots of you have had concerns about your bank statements, and I'm going to be answering some questions in a moment about why you are having to provide bank statements when they can already see this information anyway. And a lot of it has got to do with this here. And as we can see, it says the measure includes introducing identity verification for all new and existing registered company directors, broadening our powers to become a more active gatekeeper over company creation and more reliable data, and financial information on the register. And this, I think, is a little bit concerning when we know that Rachel Reeves has given HMRC the powers to literally take unpaid tax out of bank accounts. That isn't even just for company directors. That also affects people who are not declaring all of their income. But when I opened the recent little merch store to go along with this YouTube channel recently, for somebody that's been in digital e-com for 20 years, I noticed something that I have never, ever seen before. And I was like, oh my goodness, here we go. Lots of you are worried about not being able to work or do something if the digital ID comes into play. But as I said earlier, it's already too late, because when I set up the merch store, which is just through Shopify, for this YouTube channel, I was not able to open it unless I complied with these things. And this is something that I have never, ever had to do before. Now, I don't have a problem with complying with these things, but I do have a problem with the fact that if I didn't want to, I would not have been able to have opened my business. So let's have a little look at this. The first one was that I had to comply with local regulations because I stipulated the UK as the owning territory. Now, interestingly enough, there was no link there to tell me what these local regulations actually were. That's why I went and had a little gander at HMRC to see what the changes were. Then I had to go in, I had to upload a business document, and that business document was certifiable by HMRC, so nothing else would have worked. So that would have meant that my digital verification and digital ID from HMRC was used. And then, of course, in order for all of that to work, I had to obviously scan this in and set up two-factor authentication on my phone. And like I said, I didn't actually have a problem with doing any of this, but if I hadn't have done it, I would not have been able to have opened the store. So it does seem that although there isn't actually a legality right now to say that, yeah, digital ID is mandatory, you have to do it, there are lots of other processes that you can't do unless you have a digital ID. Now, obviously, if you're running a business or you have a company, you have accounts and everything has to be done correctly and properly, obviously, because you're going to have to comply with the rules and regulations of HMRC. So not a problem. Obviously, I did what I was told. But what if you're not, you don't have a business and you don't have a company, you're on universal credit, or you're working and full-time or part-time. Lots of people do actually work full-time and get a little bit of universal credit. Despite what some people are putting in the comments, know that a lot of people work full-time and also still need universal credit because the UK employment market is atrocious. So what happens then if you don't want to provide that information, like the bank statements that you're being asked for? What happens when you don't do it? One. And two, what happens, why are they asking you that? And this is exactly what Zach has asked me. You keep saying different laws and statuses to use against them. I quote things that are out there. I don't say, I never give out legal advice. Let's be clear about that. But you've only got to look up the things up for yourself. But can you answer why and what it is exactly they are asking or looking for? I get universal credit, I don't work and don't get any other payments into my account. So what exactly are they trying to sniff out? And this is literally the golden piece of information, I think. Now, because this person here, Zach, says he's not working, he's on universal credit, he's a different, in a different pool of people than myself, who is, has their own company. So I have to do things, I have to be compliant. Because obviously I have to follow the rules of HMRC, but Zach doesn't, because he doesn't have a business. So he's saying, why do I have to give them this information? And this is exactly what I think. If you're not having to stay compliant because you don't have a business, how are DWP going to take action against certain things? Let me break this down for you a little bit more. DWP, as you all know, can already see everything that's inside your bank account. Lots of you have been saying to me this in the comments. They're asking you questions about ingoings and outgoings, like they can see everything. They can. So if they can see everything, why are they asking you to bring the bank statements? And I think it all comes down to law. Right now, DWP are not supported by a law on which they can action that information or that evidence that they can see on their screen. So even though they have access to it, and yes, it is evidence, there's nothing in law that says they can say, oh, look, Zach's got £500,000 in his bank account. Let's pull him in. Let's have a little word with him. Well, in order to do that, they're going to have to disclose, number one, that they've been looking at your bank account. And number two, there isn't a law to say that they can actually say to you, we've been looking at your bank account and we found this out, because they're going to be breaking privacy rules. They're going to be breaking data protection rules. But if you bring the evidence in, if you bring the bank statements in, well, then we have something altogether different, don't we? Then you have provided evidence to the Department of Work and Pensions. And then, because you've provided that evidence, they are then mandated to take action based on the evidence that you provide. And I know for a fact that there were all sorts of shenanigans that were going on in COVID times, because claims were opened and closed based on trust, because obviously we couldn't see people, or they couldn't see people face to face in the office. But that's all changed now. So you might be wondering, do I have to give them these statements? And I would warmly invite some comments or commentaries from somebody that is legally qualified in the comments, or you can reach out to me privately if you wish, and actually give me your point of view on this. Because the Social Security Administrations Act actually states that the Department of Work and Pensions have full right to ask you about your income and your capital. Absolutely fair. But not expenditure, not on what you're spending your money on. unless you have some kind of a business activity. Because obviously, if you have a business activity, you're going to have income coming in, you're going to have expenses or things going out. The remainder of that is profit. Depending on the profit that you have left over, that is going to determine how much universal credit, you're going to be entitled to. So that's fair. But if you don't have a business activity and you've declared all of your income and you've declared all of your capital, why are they asking you to look at your expenditure? And as I said, I think it's for the reason I've stated. It's to make you bring in documents so that they can then gather information and then act on certain pieces of information. Now, I've seen lots of people in the comments state that DWP have said to them, you need to bring in your bank statement so that we can make sure you're on the right benefit and you're getting everything that you're entitled to. I can tell you right now that that is fundamentally not true, because there is so much benefit that is actually unclaimed for people that are entitled to it, based on the information they've already got. Now, these facts and figures come from the Department of Work and Pensions. So if they come from the Department of Work and Pensions, I think we can all safely agree that they already have that data. They already know who's entitled to benefits and they already know who's not entitled to benefits. So it is simply a process of reduction. So if you are being badgered by the Department of Work and Pensions and you are being threatened about your benefits being stopped, and you wholeheartedly, honestly know that you have got absolutely nothing to hide and that you've been completely compliant and you are revealing everything about your income and your capital, I would sincerely consider taking legal advice from Citizens Advice Bureau or anywhere else on whether or not it is legal for them to threaten you by stopping your benefit in the first place if you don't provide bank statements, or if you have provided it but you have covered up what you spend your money on. And there are all sorts of reasons why people would want to cover up what they spend their money on. It's not necessarily because people have got anything to hide. Most of the time, people don't. But we don't have a culture in the UK, so we didn't, because we do now. We didn't have a culture in the UK where we are treated as we're guilty unless proven innocent. I think we'll find that actually the law states that everybody is innocent until proven guilty. So I have quite big concerns around all of this. So that is me answering this big question here about why they still are looking for those statements, why they're still asking for those statements if you provided everything. And in the next YouTube, I'm going to be breaking down the more information about a certain form that I've been asked to provide you information with in regards to case reviews and what that actually means. And does that mean you're being investigated for fraud, or does it not? As always, guys, let me know exactly what you think about all of this in the comments. Let's keep the movement going. And my petition is under review. And I'm hoping it's going to be ready for you all to sign next week. So please keep checking back. Thanks very much, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend and goodbye.